Hey everybody, it is Khal and Nitro for Nitromaniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited, and it's time for Nitro's take on All Out. That's right, this is the card that took place on August 31st, 2019 from the Sears Center in Hoffman Estates, Illinois, for AEW, that's right. And I can't do this by myself. I had to bring in somebody to help me out here, and I'm fortunate enough to have on the line a buddy of mine, Khal, who was in Chicago at All Out and at StarCast in person to check out everything over Labor Day weekend in Chicago. Khal, welcome to Nitromaniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited. How are things going today, man?
Hey, thanks for having me. Pretty good. Nice sunny day. A rare sunny day here in Edmonton, so I'm soaking that in.
This is our late summer that we get almost near fall. This is like the 1 week of like summer-like conditions before it turns crappy. So
it was raining for all 60 days, and then the one sunny day.
Exactly, for sure. So, but man, you took the plunge. You went down there, and not only did you get a chance to go check out All Out, but you went and hit up StarCast as well. So I guess we'll start there. How was StarCast?
Oh, it was really cool. Like, it's basically all the rumors they say about wrestling in Chicago is true. Like, the fans are incredible. Other than that, there were a lot of people traveling as well. Mm-hmm. So it was just cool. It was a cool convention. I unfortunately didn't do any of the meet and greets or anything like that. Time was limited, but right. Yeah, it was just awesome to I went by myself too, so at any given moment I can turn around and talk to somebody who was passionate about wrestling. I found that to be pretty cool. That's something you can only really find during a Mania weekend, and it's cool that they had this during a StarCast or an AEW event.
Yeah, I'll attest to that for sure. Traveling by yourself to these things is a lot of fun, and traveling in a group is good too. Don't get me wrong. But traveling solo to these events, as I found out this year with both Rumble and Mania, is just fantastic. It's a lot of fun to go down there and just, that's how you meet people, and that's how you just network with people and that stuff. And, like I had mentioned on the channel earlier this week, the big panel out of all of them was the CM Punk Best in the World panel. I got a chance to watch the pay-per-view presentation that they presented on just normal cable pay-per-view and that stuff, not on Fight TV. You can go back to the listeners and viewers here. You can go back to my channel and check out my solo video that I did on that. I think I put that up a couple days ago. Might be a couple weeks ago by the time you get a chance to watch it. But yeah, and get my feelings on it. But just to reiterate quickly, I felt that the pay-per-view presentation for it was lacking just due to the fact that it cut off after 90 minutes. So they never gave us the full 2 hours or 2.5 hours that they had Punk on stage, and they never gave us the fan Q&A that was supposed to happen and whatever. But the first 90 minutes of it was great. Mike Johnson from PW Insider was the host, and Punk just seems like a very chill, happy guy to be where he's at right now, and I don't really expect him to venture back into the wrestling world anytime soon. I don't expect him to venture back into the UFC world anytime soon.
No.
I think he's going to do, I think if anything, you'll see him probably do more movie stuff and more pop culture type things for a bit, and then maybe he comes back as a commentator somewhere down the line because he's got the gift of gab, right? So,
yeah, I agree. And I think if it was going to happen, it was going to happen this weekend.
Yes.
It was a perfect opportunity. Brand new company. It's in Chicago. Biggest pay-per-view they've had yet. I just can't see him. I can't see him returning to WWE. I don't know if I'm going to be eating those words one day, but I just can't see that. So, yeah, I think the boat has sailed on that for now. And I remember I didn't catch the StarCast, his interview there, but I did hear kind of through the grapevine that he was saying that he just can't keep up with today's stars.
Yes.
So that might be a factor there too.
Yeah, that was an issue. I think that they were saying that he had mentioned a few times and that stuff. The funny thing is if you haven't had a chance to watch this yet, Khal, is that they bring up the fact that guys now can take 1 or 2 weeks off for medical or for weddings or for whatever, like what Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch have just done, what Finn Balor is doing right now currently, and just the look on Punk's face it looks like his brain melts when that happens. He's like, "What? Really?" Like, it's got to be gift somewhere on the internet. He's like, "Oh my god, really? You can do that now?" I think he was. I think he heard that, and I think he was ready to just phone up and be like, "Yo, Vince, I'm coming back. Oh, by the way,
I'll sign right now."
Yeah, but by the way, I'm taking 2 weeks off the top. Oh man! But anyway, yeah. So that was great. Did you get a chance to snag any photo ops with any of the booked in talent at Starcast? Or
No, not really. No, like I said, time was limited. I had kind of a couple other things I was doing down there while I was there, so I only really got to go the day of All Out, and where I was staying was just so far from where Starcast was.
Right.
So if I ever was to do it again, I think I would block out that time just for wrestling.
Yeah.
So, do all the other shows and everything like that. Because just chatting with everybody, it seemed pretty cool. Like I think there were about 4 or 5 shows going on.
Yeah, there was a ton of indie stuff happening in Chicago over that weekend.
Yeah.
Stuff everywhere from Rise over at the Berwyn Eagles Club to I think AEW had another show going on to like everything across the board. Oh, GCW had like a huge show too. So
yeah, really, really good show.
Mm-hmm. Insanely crazy weekend for sure. So, but anyways, that's still really cool that it's finally starting to happen where WWE has had the monopoly on this for fan access for years, and now there's another place or another I guess ballpark where guys can come in and on top of WrestleCon, which happens every year, but it only happens once a year, WrestleMania weekend. Now you got the Starcast thing that kind of travels around with them and that stuff. They got the 4th one coming up in Baltimore. It's going to be, it's really cool to see. So
yeah,
for sure. All right, so now let's start breaking down this card, and this will be cool because you can give me the live in-house perspective. First of all, Sears Center as a live venue, what did you think of it?
It's much smaller than it comes off on TV.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know they have it at 11,000 people. It felt like, I don't want to give it this status because that's kind of knocking it, but it did give me a small town hockey rink feel. Okay. Like even the concessions, you just had hot dogs and popcorn, right? It had a small town feel to it. I guess it translated a lot bigger on TV, but it wasn't a huge venue at all.
Okay, so yeah, I'm familiar with that. Obviously, up here in Canada, we have every small town has a hockey rink almost, and for different levels of hockey up here, whether it's WHL or AHL hockey, and so they say that. What was the number that they quoted with All In last year? Was 11,267 or something like that as the amount? I look at that crowd and maybe 11,267 again. Maybe this year, maybe a little less, maybe a little bit. I think probably they pulled maybe about 10 or 11 grand for it, but it looked full on TV. Like the camera angles they were using on TV made the house look good. So
yeah,
for sure, and probably no empty seats from what you could see, right?
You know what? There was one very odd section that was empty, about 10 rows, in the 100 level section opposite the hard camera side. There were about 10 rows of just empty seats. Other than that, everything was full.
Maybe that was like a tour group or something like that didn't make it or something.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, or they probably just moved people out of those seats and just filled them in other seats.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Maybe they had some
just, camera's not going to hit it at any point.
Exactly, for sure. So, funny story, I was I was in the stands watching that happen in front of my eyes for SmackDown on Mania weekend, where they actually had people come in and take these people from all the way up in the nosebleeds of the Barclays, and they brought them all the way down and put them on the floor. So it's wild. But anyway, all right. So let's break down the matches on the card. First thing that we saw live on pay-per-view, and I imagine the first thing you saw in-house, because I don't think there was any dark matches for this thing, was there not?
No.
Okay, so it's right into it. the Casino Royale 21-woman Battle Royal won by Nyla Rose, who won last by eliminating Britt Baker. They kind of imitated the Royal Rumble 92 finish with Baker, B. Priestley, and Nyla Rose with that. I don't know if you caught that or not, but it was totally the Sid Justice, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair finish.
Okay. Yeah.
So I kind of laughed when I seen that. But all in all, I thought that Battle Royal was very interesting, and I found this Battle Royal actually more entertaining than the original Double or Nothing men's Battle Royal that they had that crowned Hangman Page as top contender for the AEW belt back at Double or Nothing. So what say you? What was your opinion?
Yeah, I'd agree. It was much more competitive. I feel like they took it much more seriously too. I think the initial Battle Royale was very gimmicky, and I think that was a kind of a complaint, like we saw in Nakazawa with the with the baby oil.
Right.
I guess I know what they're going for there, but yeah, I think they took the feedback there and just made this a little bit more competitive. Seeing it live, it was a great Battle Royal, but it was very confusing. You couldn't hear what Justin Roberts was saying. You couldn't hear who they were announcing. Yeah.
What was the crowd response live for some of the newer talent that had made their debut there? Like Sadie Gibbs was a individual that they had video packages made up for on. Being the Elite and Road to All Out, and on top of it, they played her video package probably the most notable time during Double or Nothing, and she looked like she had a heck of a performance. I think this is somebody that they're probably going to build it up, in the coming months and everything like that. So that's one, and then another one I want to just touch on is, unfortunately, I thought that she may have put in. I don't want to say the worst performance of the night in the Battle Royal, but you could tell that the lack of ring time kind of hurt her, and that was Teal Piper.
Yeah. The pops really they were sparse.
Yeah.
Again, the match itself was good, but a lot of people were just kind of confused, especially in the higher level seats. Everyone's kind of starting to blend in at this point. Just couldn't really hear what Justin Roberts was saying.
Right.
But by far the biggest pop of the night went to ODB.
Yeah. When she walked out, for sure. Well, Mercedes Martinez got a little bit of a pop as they walked.
Oh yeah, she got a big one too.
Just due to the fact of her history with wrestling in Chicago and Shimmer and everything like that. So, and rightfully so. It was good to see her. I thought that Priscilla Kelly took the worst bump out of everybody in the Battle Royal, where she was kind of unceremoniously dropped, and it looked like a bag of wet cement hitting the floor. I kind of cringed when I saw that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was that. But, yeah, and then I think the free that ended the Battle Royal, I think that's a good enough world title picture for your women's division to start. I think because you got, two world-class athletes in Baker and Priestley that the fans will know. You're trying to establish Nyla Rose as this monster, and it's kind of an interesting take on it because of her background and that stuff, to go with a face route with her. I would almost, when they signed her, I thought, oh, they're going to go Awesome Kong with her. And then guess what? They signed Awesome Kong.
Yeah.
So so it was like, all right, that's kind of a strange comeuppance and occurrence. But, I think the AEW women's belt, in that scene amongst those three, I think you could have a lot of great matches going on TV with them and that stuff, and build something up for, Full Gear or whatever you decide to do with it. So. Yeah,
and I think that's I think it's going to be Bia versus Britt Baker at Full Gear, and then from there, Nyla Rose will have her title run for a good few months, and I think probably about 6 months from now, it's going to be Nyla Rose versus one of the two of them.
Exactly, for sure. All right, so the next match we saw, and this was all on a pre-show, so this was all streaming live on YouTube, and you can watch it for free on like all the pay-per-view cable channels and everything like that. They brought it in as kind of like their free-for-all. Private Party, so Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn taking on Angelico and Jack Evans. So jealous you got to see a Jack Evans match live. How do you feel about Jack and Angelico as a team?
Really good, really good. There was some sloppiness for sure, but that's going to tighten up. Two young tag teams at the end of the day, and yeah, they're definitely going to tighten up. But they got the crowd going. They did what they needed to do. For a pre-show, it was the perfectly placed match. A lot of good spots. Psychology may have lacked a tiny bit. Again, just translating live, but no, everybody seemed to enjoy it.
Who do you back? Who do you take here? Do you take Private Party or do you take NXT Street Profits if you're looking for kind of like the urban party boy type gimmick?
I'd go Private Party. I think they established more of a backstory to them as well. I don't know if you saw I think it was Road to Fighter Fest, was it? Yeah, they had a pretty good backstory there too. So, it's not only just the party gimmick. I think they have that whole, back in the streets of, I don't know, where are they from? Is it Harlem or?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but they did a little expose of them just living, in the streets and kind of coming up from there. And I think they have a nice little backstory. Plus, I find them just a tad more athletic and just a little bit more exciting there.
I find their double team work a little bit more crisp than the Street Profits a little bit. They're a little bit more crisp and a little bit more imaginative with their double team work. So, I think that, as I mentioned before on Nitro Steak, and my viewers and listeners will remember, is I think both acts are different enough to stand out in their own ways. So it's going to be interesting to watch in the years to come about this and what happens with which, because they're already teasing, or the internet public is already teasing a split between Montez and his partner over in NXT, and they'd love to see Montez kind of do his own thing in NXT, whereas these guys are 100% a unit, and everything you read about them and see about them is, they're a great tag team. So, Yeah.
And I think that's just a general thing in AEW alone. Just they're really pushing those tag teams. So if you know them as a tag team, they're most likely going to stay as a tag team for a while.
Yeah, super athletic, super great match with Private Party getting the win. And then afterwards, Angelico and Jack Evans kind of saying, you know what, we've been faces for too long. Let's go heel and just attack and jump Private Party. So they're kind of on that heel band length, because don't forget, AEW wins and losses do matter. We started to see proof of that during the pay-per-view, where they started to font in the you wouldn't have seen it because you were there live, but they started to font in the win-loss records of everybody as they entered into the arena and that stuff. So you'd see a singles win-loss record, and then there was like their total win-loss record matches underneath it as the two categories, and I think that's a great split. So
yeah, I agree. But add some legitimacy to it, and it's not just the records. Like everything they're doing, they're bringing a sense of realism to it as well. Like I know they're doing the interviews after, and that's kind of a New Japan thing, but it's borrowing a lot from New Japan, UFC. Just kind of gets you a little bit more invested there.
Then the pay-per-view starts, and the first match on the pay-per-view was a 6-man tag, SoCal Uncensored, so Daniels, Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky taking on the Jurassic Express, which was Jungle Boy, Marco Stunt, and Luchasaurus, or as other people were calling him, a small boy, a boy, and his dinosaur. But I like Jurassic Express a little bit better because I think they're playing off of, honestly, the endorsement that Cornette gave them on the Jim Cornette experience a few weeks ago or something, where Cornette says, I really like the Jungle Boy Luchasaurus thing. He's like, that's something that would fly in Smoky Mountain. So, which is rare for AEW, considering.
Oh yeah, for him to say something positive there.
To say something positive there, but there we go. But anyways, I thought this was a great opener. I thought it showcased everybody well. Great pops for Stunt. Great pops for Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. Apparently all the kids in attendance and that stuff go absolutely banana for these guys, so that's awesome. What say you? You were there.
Yeah, there was actually a family sitting right next to me, and they all had Jungle Boy shirts on.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think their like 6-year-old son was just super excited to see him. So, which is kind of an interesting mix because it's a TV 14 show, right. And you have things like that. But it's cool that they can cater to the kids and they can cater to the adults too with Jungle Boy. Yeah, it was great opener. Up until that match, I feel like a lot of the people in the crowd, they enjoyed the opener, but it was almost like, okay, was this worth coming to?
Okay.
Then everybody came unglued at that point. So, yeah, a lot of great spots, good teamwork, fast pace. I think the right guys got the win. Yeah, fantastic opener.
You'll get that on big cards sometimes, too, and that stuff. It takes a while for the crowd to kind of wake up and get going with it. And that's kind of why WWE for years has front-loaded their pre-shows and that stuff for WrestleMania and everything like that with matches, and they did with Royal Rumble this year too. They've kind of front-loaded with a couple of really important title matches and threw it out there and dropped a couple of angles, right? So this was good. This was like I said, a real solid 6-man, and it ended up being the SoCal Uncensored trio getting the Duke in that one. And the run length on that one was 11:45, and I could have watched another 5 or 10 minutes of it. I thought it was really good. So yeah, I thought everybody was showcased very well. And when you get into multi-man tag matches, that's basically what you're doing. See New Japan Pro Wrestling; they're the kings of it. So yeah, for sure. So. All right, and then I was surprised that this match was so early in the card, the one that was right after it. Pac and Kenny Omega, 23-20, the match ends by referee stoppage with Pac beating Kenny Omega. That was there were 2 jaw-dropping results there. 1, that match being so early in the card, and 2, the end result. Like, that was just kind of a jaw-dropping, kind of, whoa, my God type moment,
Yeah. When that match started, everyone was kind of coming off the high of the 6-man tag, and everybody was shocked. Like, already? Are they giving us a break here? Are they giving us any time to breathe? And that's the one interesting thing I notice in general about, I guess, all AEW pay-per-views is there really isn't a second to breathe. Yeah. It's like match ends, next match starts. Everybody else as well was shocked with the final result, going over clean on a tap. Again, everybody just thought it was going to be the traditional, submission. You raise the arm a couple times, and then he has a hot comeback. But no, once he submitted, or I guess passed out, there was an audible gasp from my section alone.
I like the storyline they've been using with Omega since he started in AEW, whereas he's, for the past couple of years, been this unstoppable ace over in Japan. And now that he's finally getting a break on the big North American scale and that stuff, he's only got 1 victory in 2019. Like, 1 total victory at all, and that was over Shima at Fyter Fest. So,
and were they mentioning that on commentary as well?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they've mentioned that a few times, but I didn't kind of paying attention to it and that stuff. In major promotions this year, Kenny Omega's just got the 1 victory. That's it. So, and it's something that will be pretty interesting to see. We'll have to wait and see if that continues with the match with Moxley coming up at Full Gear, because that was effectively the match that was supposed to happen here, but they just pushed it back to November. They'll have the luxury of TV to build up to it too, so... Yeah. It should be good. I think that one, I don't think will be as early on in the card for Full Gear. I think that might be one of your mains. So
yeah. And do you think he strings along a couple of wins along the way, or does he kind of continue this losing streak?
I think that at Full Gear, it's too early to tell. I'll have to watch and see how they're building it on TV and that stuff. But if it was just going in cold like they have been the past few shows and that stuff, I think, you continue the losing streak. I think you have Moxley beat him deviously. And then you got to set up something big for a blow-off maybe in early January or February, whenever your next pay-per-view is. So, yeah, for sure. Like I said, this is also, it's a brand new league. We have no idea what their pay-per-view structure is going to be like.
Yeah,
right? So,
I think they were saying quarterly. They were going to try to run them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so one which would make sense.
So one every 4, 8, it's 3 months, 4 months, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's what they were doing. Double or Nothing, then All Out, and then Full Gear. Yeah, looks like about once every 3-4 months.
3 or 4 months. Huh?
Yeah.
All right. And then we had the match that sounds like a car race. The Cracker Barrel Clash. Jimmy Havoc, Darby Allin, and Joey Janela for 15 minutes in a hardcore war. I wish to God they dropped the name, but I understand the whole sponsorship thing in a match and whatever. But Cracker Barrel Clash, you get those three in a ring. It's going to be a hardcore mess. It was.
Do you think Cracker Barrel knew what they were getting into?
No.
From all matches to sponsor, they chose that one.
No, no, I don't think so. I'd like to see their response on Tuesday when they watch back the match and say, "Oh, what did we sponsor on the weekend? How did that go?"
Exactly. Well, even just if you hear some of the crowd chants, not very family friendly.
Yeah. Yeah. But they threw biscuits. The barrel was used.
Yeah, could you ask for a better sponsor, really, if you're a company?
No, it was great.
I've never seen a sponsorship go down that way.
They utilized it really well. Well, they utilized the Cracker Barrel sponsorship at All In last year really good, too. Where with the whole Janela Adam Page match with basically Page playing the gorilla from Donkey Kong and throwing the barrel at Janela, and Janela doing the old Super Mario hop over top of it. This was a hardcore war. This was ultra violence, probably mainstream ultra violence. There was no light tubes. There was everything else though. So if you're into like your deathmatch stuff, you'd probably say that this is more WWE style deathmatch if there's such a thing. But I think that's the most they could get away with on TV and not get thrown off of TV, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and again, especially if you have a corporate sponsorship on the match itself.
Yeah.
I think it's enough to attract the audience they want. You know what I mean? Like it's enough to kind of appease the people that do want the death match style, but also if I'm bringing my friend and I'm, sitting them down in front of the TV and they're watching this, I don't think they want to see, barbed wire just slicing into people's arms. Like at this point, they're going prime time, so I get that they have to water it down just a tad.
Havoc walked out with the win, which establishes him a little bit. The other two guys were kind of established already off of stuff that AEW's been doing, since the beginning of the year and even back into All In last year, if you want to count with Janela, because he got the big win over Adam Page last year. So that's going to be something that's going to be very interesting to watch going forward. Will AEW go with an Ultra Violence Division belt, or is that just a one-off, or what's going on? So we'll see what happens, right? So,
yeah,
because
I don't know if they're going to do that. I think they're. I'm guessing they're just going to stick to about 3 belts and just have the mid card belt, the title or the tag titles, and then the world title there. So
right, exactly. Okay, so the next match that we had during the card here. Okay, there we go. This one was a little bit of a letdown for me. This first round, the winners receive a first round bye in the AEW World Tag Team Championship thing between the Dark Order and Best Friends. The unfortunate thing with this here is Dark Order still to this day isn't really established as a heel faction. It just kind of still there, and the act itself kind of feels very opening card, mid card. That's just my opinion, though, but.
It feels very amateur to me. Like the whole faction itself just feels like something I would see in an indie show.
Yeah.
Just their costumes, everything, the idea. It just seems like an indie faction without a budget trying to be spooky.
Yeah, for sure. Most definitely. Yeah, that's for sure. And they tried in this match to build them with that team going over on an established team with Beretta and Taylor, because those two guys ultimately are some of the best carpenters that company has. They can put anybody over and they're entertaining and the crowd loves them. and that stuff. And I don't think you'll ever see Best Friends on a heel run per se down there. But I think that's it. But, with the injection of Orange Cassidy at the end of the whole thing, and now it looks like it's going to be a 6-man kind of fight or war between Best Friends and Cassidy and the Dark Order, and whoever they can get. And now the inclusion of, okay, you can throw in a new superstar under the Creeper mask with the Dark Order or something like that if you want or whatever. Or you just have, a bunch of local quote-unquote indie bumpkins or whatever under those masks and just feed them to them and that stuff, and then you're left with Grayson and Uno in the ring. The Super Smash Bros. Time was good. Super Smash Bros. Time was awesome in Ring of Honor, and then I think they just have kind of fell into the abyss of history, and so now you're trying to reestablish them with a new gimmick, and I don't think it's really taking right now at this point. But.
No, it was the washroom break. Again, when you're giving us 3 high-octane matches like that in a row, people are waiting to go. It's an unfortunate place to place this match, but I don't think actually there were lineups for the washroom, so I don't think there were a lot of people in their seats for that match.
Well, Dark Order got the win in this one, and they get the first round bye into the championship tournament. So whoever meets them in the second round, there might be some interesting matchups coming off of that, but we'll have to wait and see what happens there. So now the next match off of it was, I guess, the second half of the, if you want to call it bracketing system, the semifinals for the women's tournament, with the Battle Royal being the first semifinal. The second semifinal here was Hikaru Shida versus Rihu for the chance to face Nyla Rose on October 2nd, the very first AEW on TNT show, to crown a women's champion. And this was Joshi wrestling goodness all over it. I mean, this was Shimmer quality wrestling, man. This is what you see at any Shimmer show, across the board on Mania Week, or if you go and check out that promotion in Chicago when it runs. It was so much fun to see these two women just get 15 minutes and go out there and just do their thing. Match itself was 13:45, and Rihu got the win over Shida in kind of surprising fashion too. And I think that's going to be a very interesting match on the 2nd of October, where we get the Monster and Nyla Rose take on a woman in Rihu that's kind of young. I think she's only like 22, 23, and before this time, her only claim to fame is she's Kenny Omega's partner of choice in DDT.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah. And why did they choose that match to be the semifinal? Did they give any backstory to that?
I have no idea why they chose that one to be the backstory, because you had that whole thing angling off of Fight for the Fallen with Awesome Kong and Brandy.
Yeah.
Kind of, going. And I thought that Britt Baker would have a say in this. I thought that, but then they brought in B. Priestley to feud with her. And then I figured, okay, well, then maybe obviously there's going to be something going on with Priestley and Baker, with that. And then, this card was announced, and then this was just announced, on the card as just a singles match. And then a few days after, they announced that, oh, no, this is the second semifinal for the women's. And then, it'll be winner of the Battle Royal versus winner of this match. And it's like, okay, I can kind of see what you're doing, because you kind of did the same thing with Jericho Omega and the winner of the Battle Royal back at Double or Nothing. But then the problem with that is, okay, Jericho Omega was your main event.
Yeah.
This match here, as good as both these girls are, it's not a main event.
It was a last-minute addition, too.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not sure. I think that there might still be something afoot here where it's going to be a multi-woman match or something along the likes. I don't see this being a one-on-one match between Rihu and Nyla Rose for very long.
Yeah.
I think that Brandy might interject herself in this. Brandy might interject Awesome Kong in this. There might be a four-way where they're both in it. Whatever, So I'm as confused as you are.
Yeah.
More confused than anything else. But hey, it's kudos for them for trying something different. It's like the Dark Order thing. Kudos to them for trying something different. It may catch, it may not. You never know. But
I guess we'll see. Yeah,
we'll see what happens. I enjoyed the match, though. I really did. I really enjoyed.
No, it was a great match for sure. Yeah.
So next match, Cody with MJF taking on Sean Spears with the legend Tully Blanchard in his corner, and this was the blow off to the big feud. From the chair shot heard round the world at Fyter Fest earlier this summer, and man, this was a this match here was fairly interesting. Some for the right reasons and some for the wrong reasons. I'm not sure if you got a chance to watch the pay-per-view yet on TV or not, but during the pay-per-view itself, I don't know who the rocket scientist was that decided that the guy coming out with the service dog needed pyro. But it freaked the hell out of the service dog, so don't use pyro around the service dog. Maybe I'm just thinking.
Yep. And I know they immediately apologized about it as well.
Yeah.
Tony Khan had something to say about it as well, but we didn't catch it live, but I did hear a lot about it when I got home.
Right. Yeah, that would explain why Farrell was kind of really jumpy after and that stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, you got live pyro going off around you, bud. It's not good.
Yeah.
So, but no, and I mean, there was an underlying discussion underneath this and that stuff is that I think that they have to be a little bit more transparent if they're going to bring in a character like Farrell on these shows and that stuff, just due to the fact that, okay, you see him in full service dog regalia and that stuff. Are they insinuating that Cody has a handicap or something that he would need a service dog out there? I'm just thinking psychology reasons,
Yeah. I guess they're pushing it as the most lovable pooch in wrestling. Like I see what they're doing there, but I never really service dog kind of aspect of it. No.
Yeah. No, I mean that's we're taking the box and we're thinking way outside of it, but I'm just thinking psychology reasons. That's it, because the past couple times we've seen him on like ROH TV and on All In last year and that stuff and everything, they just had him dressed up with maybe like an American Nightmare bandana or something like that.
Yeah.
Walk out there, so, with everybody. So I mean, this is just kind of. I don't know if this was just a last second thing where nobody fought to take the stuff off of him or whatever or anything, but and also maybe don't have the dog around the pyro. I would just if you're going to use the dog, maybe use the dog in a pre-tape in the back or something like that with his fight camp walking and everything. I did like the reveal at ringside where he had to try to pick who he was going to stand with at ringside, and he had either DDP, Brandy, or MJF, and he picked MJF. Then the whole crowd was like, "Uh-oh, we got a turn coming."
Yeah,
and we never saw the turn. They're teasing us with it. So
well, he teased it. I don't know. Did it show on camera?
It did. They
did. Yeah. Okay.
A few times during the match where he teased it and that stuff. But I think that it was a thing where it kind of came more across where MJF and Sean Spears have had issues in AEW as well. So I think it was more along the lines of, okay, these guys have. This the whole thing is, he could turn on him, but I think it's the case where, okay, he wants to see this, this guy that he considers a rival and Spears get the hell knocked out of him tonight by somebody, and then, he might table that for a later day type thing. But, this was a real rough back and forth match. Almost match of the night quality here. This would be my dark horse match of the night for sure. The crowd reaction was great. You were there live. What was it like live? So,
well, it was fantastic use of managers for sure. I haven't seen that in a long time, and every time Tully would get involved or MJF would get involved, the crowd was really into it. Like, they'd boo when Tully would do something, get frustrated when MJF is, accidentally distracting the ref. Crowd was extremely into it. I think it started the right way too. Just right away, jump out of the ring, go into the crowd, added to the emotion of the match. Yeah, everybody loved it.
Yep. Cody got the win. The match itself was 16-20, and I think that that match establishes Shawn Spears as a upper card heel on that show for sure. I think you could put him. I think maybe Hangman Page might be the next dance partner for him. It might be, that might be something that I would predict that they probably would build upon or something. It might be something where, his plans aren't known until TV starts and then he inject them anywhere. But he's ready to go. He's ready for prime time, I think.
For sure. He'll be a top-level heel for sure.
Yeah, and of course, Cody, you can put him anywhere. He's the EVP, so he'll be put anywhere, so that's it.
Is he at 3 wins now?
Yeah, I believe so. I think
3 wins.
I think what's the whole deal? 3 wins and you can challenge for the belt or something like that, or get close.
I have no idea. Yeah, but that might be the next natural. Actually, that would make sense with Chris Jericho kind of having that whole thank me gimmick, right?
They've already started to beef at each other on social media a little bit, which makes me think that there might be a match announcement imminent for Full Gear. That might be
you think they'd do it that soon?
Or it might be Jericho Cody 1-on-1. Which if that's the case, that's a hell of a main event. We'll have to wait and see if that's the case going forward. But yeah, that might be a lot of fun for the fans.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. All right. The Escalera de la Muerte for the AAA World Tag Team Championship. They were doing something goofy with the pronunciation of it, doing the full Spanish for AAA. I'm not even going to try because I butchered it so bad. It's like blah, 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 or something. It's like, I don't mean to put people down by doing that. I can't. My tongue can't, do the Spanish good. If you know what I mean. But anyways, so we got Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix. They were the champions going into this one, but their belts were on the line against the Young Bucks, who brought out the Super Kick Fiesta. I love the gear. I really love the masks. They were awesome. A little psychological warfare with Penta and Rey. And this, what do you think? This is the blow-off to the year feud that they had?
For sure. Yeah, they're not having another match after this. That left it all on the line. I don't think they should have another match either. I just can't find many ways they can top what they just did here.
This is probably the second most violent ladder match I've seen this year. The first one was the one I seen in person at the G1 Supercard between Taven, Lethal, and Marty Scurll for the Ring of Honor Championship. Where that was just 40-plus minutes of guys beating themselves up with weapons, which was incredible. This fig here was as good. Man, the Bucks take some sick bumps, though. Guys, you've established yourselves. You don't need to do this anymore.
But with guys like that, it's all about one-upmanship, and I think that was the psychology of the match, the story they were telling. Whatever you can do, I can do better. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So, but this was a very entertaining match. Like I said, this was probably the most entertaining ladder match, with the exception of the one I've seen live in person in NYC this year, that I've seen in 2019, and I thought that the pace was really good. I thought that the car wreck style was really good. They brought in, I forgot to mention this, the announced team was Jim Ross, Excalibur, and Golden Boy. And I think adding Golden Boy and deleting Alex Marvez has been one of the best moves this year in the AEW commentary booth, because I thought that the three of them played off really well, especially in this match. It's really evident in it. Yeah, I didn't get to see this on pay-per-view yet, but I was wondering the whole time, what was JR's reactions to a lot of these spots?
JR was really good. JR was bang on during this show. Excalibur was awesome, and I think adding Golden Boy, just the three of them click. All three of them were really, really good, and I think they had JR in more of a color commentary spot this time around on a few matches, and then they'd switch it up, and he'd call a few matches, and Excalibur would be on a color commentary, and Golden Boy would chime in as third man each time.
Okay, I see.
And I'm tired of the whole three-man booth concept in wrestling. I think it's overplayed, but that's how you do the three-man booth concept, is what they did on the weekend at All Out. So
that makes sense.
That's the proper way to do it. So absolutely. So, but I mean, you guys sounded up for that match from the opening bell, so kudos to you guys because you guys
Oh yeah,
made it happen. So
yeah, and everyone knew what they were getting into, and I think that was the match everybody was looking forward to as well.
yeah.
So yeah, it exceeded expectations, and that's pretty hard to say because your expectations are pretty high when you have those two tag teams in a ladder match.
Didn't they give you the main event? Chris Jericho defeating Adam Page for the AEW World Championship, and then 2 days later he goes to a steakhouse and loses the belt, and now we don't know if he's... Well, we know that the belt's been returned to authorities, but...
I think he found it, last
night or whatever, and blah, blah, blah.
And they're going to build a storyline around it.
They
for
were,
sure.
But now apparently they're going to try to abandon it, and they're just like, yeah, it happened, all right, whatever. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, the match itself, they do something really special with the entrance with Adam Page walking in on his horse, and then, just running to the ring and doing that thing, and then Jericho, the Painmaker, this whole new persona that's kind of evolved out of that Wrestle Kingdom match with Omega a couple of years back, is this is the most dangerous version of Jericho I think I've seen in an awful long time, going back to 2002 almost. So yeah, and he's always evolving that character.
The match was good. Yeah, it was a good match. At that point, you've just watched 5 hours of wrestling, though.
You just want it done. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're tired. But it's funny, I was hearing a couple of guys just talking, saying they weren't big fans of the Judas Effect. I think it's a phenomenal finisher. It's real, and they're doing the whole RKO thing where it just comes out of nowhere. It comes out of nowhere.
That's what it is. It's just a surprise element, right? And that's I think that's just due to the fact where at 48 he needed to change up his finisher a little bit and that stuff, because you could get somebody in the walls, no problem, but how many line salts do you want to do in your career? I mean, let's face it, that's the move that eventually paralyzed Hayabusa, right? So, I mean, that's, how many line salts you want to do, and then, the walls of Jericho will always be there for you as a fallback. But new company, you got to freshen up your act, man. And
that's what makes him one of the best.
Yeah, I think what had happened was it came as such a shock at Double or Nothing when he smoked Omega with it that nobody expected it, and so the initial pop wasn't there, right?
Yeah.
Now that we've seen it happen in a couple of big matches, like he nailed it a couple of times against Okada, and then in this match here, I think now it's been established, and now we're off to the races with it being kind of his new finisher. But
yeah, you were almost expecting it too.
Yes,
like we knew when that was going to hit, that was going to be the end of the match.
That's right, exactly, and he can end it just like that in a heartbeat. So of course Jericho's storyline is he wants a thank you from AEW and its fans for, I guess, being Chris Jericho, and just the egotistical, maniacal Jericho, taken to the umph level, is now the AEW champion. Man, he has had belts galore over the past few months.
Oh, yeah.
This whole freelance thing's working out good for him.
Oh, yeah. I think he's had, so has he had a belt in every major promotion now?
Well, New Japan and AEW. And
I guess Ring of Honor and TNA.
So, well, not Ring of Honor, not TNA.
That's what I'm saying. I guess not those.
Not those two, but but of course WWE. Well, within the past, you want to say the past 3 years. Let's start with the U.S. title in WWE, and then he leaves WWE, goes to New Japan, ends up picking up their Intercontinental Championship. Was their Intercontinental Champion for a while, and then now he's the AEW champion. So,
yeah. So, do you think the right guy won?
I predicted that Jericho would win just because I wanted to see. Yeah, I think so because I wanted to see Hangman chase it for a bit. I still think that you can build a year-long story of him getting close to the belt and not grabbing it.
Yeah.
I think that. I think that's the next big thing here is that he's he's going to be dropped down for a little bit and now chasing and upwards and onwards and trying to get that AEW belt now along the lines. And it depends on, as well, what they decide to bring in as a tertiary or a mid-card belt, what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Like how they do it, right? So, because you got the women's title, you got the men's title, and you have the tag team titles. I would think that they'd want to do like like with NXT with the North American title or somewhere along the lines. Or
just some sort of mid-card title.
Or Impact with the X Division or something like that, where, there's some sort of mid-card title where the mid-card guys can go for it. That means something,
Yeah, and that's the key, making it mean something as well. And I think Chris Jericho is the right guy. Like, if you see right now, he's a meme. He's being talked about all over the place.
He is.
And that's what they wanted going into TV.
Yeah.
I don't think Adam Page could have done that, but people are talking about Chris Jericho. Like, I even have a couple of friends that don't watch wrestling. They're like, "Hey, what happened with Chris Jericho?
Yeah.
His belt." So, it's making the news.
It made our news wires at work. I'll tell you that right now. At my night job, it made the news wires at work. Like, it was.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was a Associated Press story. So, do I think that was a work? No, I think that legit happened. I think they're just spinning it to be one of the best, or the best possible
cases of damage control.
that you can find. I guess you'd say. So that would be it. But what I like to do at the end of these things is kind of just take everything into account, and out of a 10 rating, 0 being burn it with fire, let me never see it again, and 10 being the absolute greatest event in the history of mankind. Just take in all the factors, so production, what it was like, especially with a live experience too. How was the building? How was getting to the seat? Stuff like that, and just kind of do it. I watched it on pay-per-view, so I'll go first. I'll just say the video and productions was tight. I liked the music that they brought in for this. I thought commentary was awesome. I thought the card flowed really smoothly. My favorite match of the night was the Cody Shawn Spears match, followed closely behind Shida and Rihu, even though that was kind of a bizarre way to figure out your two contenders for the women's belt. I will give All Out a 8.5 out of 10. Again, I'm taking points off just because it was so dang long. That's it.
Yeah. I would. I was saying it was probably the best event I've ever been to, not just wrestling wise.
Cool.
And I've been to a WrestleMania before. I just thought it was long, and I only really felt it at the end. But the pacing was really good. Every match was unique. I found when I went to Mania, there were some rushed matches, or just some matches felt like you've seen them before. Some felt like the last match you just saw. I felt like everything had its own unique story and aspect to it, and the placement of the matches were really good. I guess aside from the tag match, the Dark Order match, everything else was really good. I would give it a 9 out of 10.
Cool. Right on.
Yeah.
Hey, that's pretty good. We're not too far off then, consistently with ratings that I have heard and what we've just come up with here. So, it's a solid show, and now it's one of those shows where you could definitely go back and watch like a year or 2 years down the line here and that stuff. I don't think AEW really has put out a show where it's like, oh, I don't really want to watch that again, yet.
Yeah, they've all been pretty solid.
They've all been really good shows and that stuff. And I kind of hope that they release all these in like a box set or something like that. Like AEW the first year or something like that.
Yeah,
like a 4 or 5
exactly.
set or something like that, and so you could collect it and have it on your desk or wherever, because I'm still a physical media nerd, so there we go.
Yeah.
And
it's cool to have it for sure.
And my final question for you, Cal: Chicago deep dish pizza, is it what it is cracked up to be?
It's more than you can imagine. So at one point, I ordered the small to myself, thinking that it was just going to be, an individual size pizza.
Right.
It gets to my table; it's gigantic. I look at the calorie count on each slice: 580 calories per slice. 6 slices. I ate 3,800 calories in one sitting.
There you go. Crush the carbs, yeah.
Exactly, but I don't regret a single second of it.
Well, what did you get on it? What was your toppings?
Oh, it was the Chicago Classic for sure.
Oh, nice. So
Yeah.
So Chicago Classic, what does that kind of entail for toppings? Is it just like a meat lovers type thing, or what?
Yeah, sort of like that. Well, I went to two different places, and the Chicago Classic in two different places are two different things.
Right. Okay.
So one is a green pepper pepperoni cheese. The other one I think was like a Italian sausage
that's cool.
cheese, and yeah. So you got a couple of different styles of them.
That's awesome.
One place I went to, and I'm not just gonna throw it under the bus, but one place tasted almost like a Delicio pizza.
Oh,
I wasn't really having it too much.
Yeah.
And then the other place I went to, amazing, like an amazing pizza. Yeah. So,
nice, right on.
so you just have to kind of roll the dice and do your research there.
Yeah. And all in all, a great experience. You'd recommend going to a StarCast AEW pay-per-view weekend?
Oh, for sure. I'd
Yeah.
say if you ever get the chance, StarCast aside, AEW aside, just watch wrestling in Chicago. It does live up to the hype for sure. So it's one of the wrestling meccas. So
Nice.
definitely, if you ever get a chance to go out there, definitely do it. I think WWE's having, what is it, Survivor Series this year there?
I believe so. Yeah, Survivor Series
Yeah.
and NXT is going down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which should be interesting because that same week AEW is doing another show. So.
That's right.
Thanksgiving, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Their big Thanksgiving TV show on a Wednesday. So
Yeah, I guess that is the same week, eh? The Sunday would be the Survivor Series.
I believe so. Yeah, because they've now
So that should be an interesting week.
they've gone back to holding Survivor Series on like the weekend after Thanksgiving or before Thanksgiving, one of the two.
Yeah.
They're kind of in that area again. They moved away from it for a number of years. Now just recently they've gone back to doing it. But anyways, thanks again for jumping on with me and discussing All Out. This was awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Right on. I'm Khal Nitro. He's been Khal. You got any social media you want to plug?
Yeah, you can go, I don't know if you're going to be able to spell this one out, but at Khal Mustara, KHALMOUSTARAH, at Khal Mustara. That's my Instagram there.
I'll font it underneath the deal there. So you go on
Awesome.
Insta, you can follow him. Yeah, check out all his awesome photos from Chicago that he took and everything. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
thanks for jumping on board. I'm Khal Nitro. Later days. Happy wrestling watching. You can follow me on Twitter at Khal Nitro and at all the particulars. If you like this video, like and subscribe. And don't forget too, we also put these audio files and that stuff from these on SoundCloud as well. So if you don't have time to sit through an entire video or whatever, download us. We'll hang out in your iPod and talk into your ears and that stuff while you run wherever you run or anything like that. Just, maybe just watch out for traffic. Don't be like, oh, he's funny, and then walk out in front of a car or something. We'd hate to be responsible for that. But anyways, yeah, you can download it on SoundCloud. The link is on the description in every video to each and every show pretty much. And yeah, you can download it and yeah, take us with you for sure. But again, later days, happy wrestling watching. We'll catch you next time on Nitromaniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited. See ya.